So my name is Lisa Lancellotta. I am the coordinator of the MBA programs. So if you're thinking about joining the PharmD MBA program, I would be it. I'd be your advisor as you go through the program. And of course, if you have questions along the way, you'll be able to reach out to me at any time. So we have a great session for you today. And this is kind of the breakdown. Okay, so we're going to talk about some introductions of our guests here. We're going to say, why are you thinking about the PharmD MBA? What do people do with it? We'll talk about the options. We'll talk about the curriculum, admissions, and questions and answers. Okay, so first, let's take a look at who we have here today. I just want to give a big thank you to Dr. Estes, who really just kind of creates this program for us. Ian as well, thank you for all your help. I'm Lisa, as I mentioned. And then we also have a panel. So we have 2 current students in the PharmD MBA, as well as 2 alum. So actually, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is TJ Dobson. My sister's videotaping me in the back, Lauren Dobson. But anyways, I graduated 2 years ago now in 2022. And I currently work out of a consulting firm in Boston. Still live in Westerly, Rhode Island. I have a remote job. And I'm looking forward to talking with you guys today.
Hi, my name's Emma. I'm a current P3 in the PharmD MBA program. I am from Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and outside of URI, I work at Milford Regional Medical Center and at CVS.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claire. I'm a P4 in the PharmD MBA program. I finished all of my MBA classes so far, so that part is done. And I'm on rotation right now. I did one at the VA, and then I'm on one right now at a general pharmacy. My preceptor actually has his MBA as well, so it's been cool to see that.
And we have one more guest, Dr. Julia Rossi. Hi, Julia. You want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Julia Rossi. I graduated with TJ back in 2022. Following graduation, I completed a residency program with CBS Specialty Innovation and actually was able to stay on with the team. So currently I work remote on the Specialty Innovation team in upstate New York.
So, one of the questions is, why are you thinking of the PharmD MBA? Obviously, your PharmD program is intense. You have jobs when you leave, etc. Why people are coming back for a variety of reasons. The main reason is options, right? So what you do after you finish those programs. You're using it to broaden your skill set. You have the pharmacy background, but now you want to understand more of the business side of the organization. Okay, so that's why you're looking to get back to the MBA. As you can see here, these are our numbers. So currently we have 16 students in the program. We also have 71 alumni. So we're creating this network. And you see that the importance of the MBA as you're looking for career options. Okay. So what the next slide is going to show is, what do people do with it? Here's a variety. I'm not going to read it off to you. And this is just a small inkling. Obviously, we have 71 graduates doing 71 different things. Okay, so it's more of a personal decision as far as what you want to do with the dual degree. So I think the first question I am going to actually ask Julia, why did you decide at that point in time a few years ago to pursue the dual degree?
Yeah, so I think early on in pharmacy school, kind of going through the curriculum a little bit, I think it's a little intimidating because there are so many options. Within just pharmacy in general. And I think one thing for me was I was connected with the AMCP club at the University of Rhode Island. And I think that was, my first insight into the world of pharmacy that's more focused in on the business aspect of things. Once I was exposed to that, I think I had a strong pull towards managed care. And I felt like I needed, a little bit more of an understanding of just the basis of business in general. And so I think that was kind of my first idea as to why this program would be beneficial for me. And then, moving forward, it kind of checked every single box that I needed, and it's highly applicable in my job today. So I'd say, managed care pharmacy was the first pull, and then the business side and my interest there was the second.
Excellent, thank you. We're also going to go down the list. I'm actually going to start with.
So I thought that it was really cool that you could finish both your PharmD and MBA in the same amount of years, like the 6 years. And being done with it right now is also really cool. But I thought that it opened up another like whole side of pharmacy and things that you can do. And you can do a lot as a pharmacist, but having this degree also, you can do even a lot more.
And going off of what Claire said, I agree. I feel like it opens lots of doors to different careers in pharmacy. For me, I chose it because I wanted to explore industry aspects of pharmacy and also administrative aspects of working in a hospital pharmacy.
I didn't because I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I thought I was in school for an extra 2 years. And if I could get an additional, advanced degree at the same time, it was worthwhile. I think nowadays, with the way healthcare is going, I think you need to know the finances and the operational side of healthcare, whatever avenue you go into, whether it be industry or, hospital or community, to not only argue your worth, but, argue for patient care as well.
Well, you still have the microphone. I'll ask you another question. How are you using both degrees in your current position?
So I'd say at my current position, I work with big data. I do data analytics and forecasting for my company. So essentially, it's a large variety of projects where we're looking at opportunity assessments for new products. So you have to understand the drug, the disease state, as well as the target patient profile to then forecast over time possible revenues, as well as other patient centricity efforts. On the flip side of things, on my forecasting side, my team actually gets to work directly with Moderna. So you have to know the science, you have to know healthcare in order to forecast correctly in my current position, which is pretty cool. And not many people that are in my line of work have the healthcare side as well as the business side.
Excellent. Fantastic, thank you. Okay, so these are the two options that you have for the MBA. The most common is going to be the first. That's where we'll spend most of our time. That's where all of our panelists went through. So you can actually do the MBA after your P2 year. Okay, so you have 2 years really to get the MBA done at the same time you're doing the PharmD. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. The other option, we've had some students do this, is after your PharmD is over, after the 6 years is over, you can stay another year. We have a 1-year full-time day program. In the end, an MBA is an MBA. It's the same degree, it's the same type of courses, it's just the schedule is very different. Our 1-year full-time program, which I'll show you in a little bit, is a day program here in Kingston. You're with the same group of students for the whole year. The evening program will be more flexible. You're really only taking maybe 1 or 2 classes a semester, along with your pharmacy class, as well as you're doing a lot of summer and maybe J-term classes along the way when it comes to fulfilling the rest of the MBA curriculum. Okay. We do have other programs, just as an FYI. For instance, we offer a blue MBA, which is oceanography plus MBA combined, industrial systems engineering MBA. What's interesting to note is we actually do an MBA with Pfizer employees. So for the past 15 years, we've had a cohort of Pfizer students do the MBA through URI. So we have a lot of connections there at Pfizer. We also do a program with a Hungarian university. So we've got our feelers and a little bit of everything. This is the evening MBA curriculum. You would be a part-time night student if you decided to join this program. So currently in the evening MBA program, we usually have about 150 students. Okay, most of them are working full-time during the day and taking classes at night. This program is often in Providence or online. There's not a lot of classes in Kingston. Okay, so that's a little bit not as convenient for you, but because of our population with the other evening students, they find it more convenient to be in Providence. But our classes only meet 1 night a week. Okay, so it might be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, usually running from 6 to 8:45. So everybody in the program, we'll talk a little bit about how our panelists were able to organize their schedules. But really what's happening is that during the fall, maybe you're just taking 1 MBA class with the remainder of your pharmacy classes. In the spring, maybe you can fill in 2 MBA classes. During the summer, that's when you're going to take a lot of MBA classes. Okay, and we'll kind of go through all the different options that you have. The MBA originally was created for non-business majors. So you have never had to see a business course in your life before you pursue the degree. What you see here is what's required for the program. Okay, so usually there are a total of 14 courses. However, in this program, we're actually using 4 of your pharmacy courses as electives in the MBA. Okay, so right off the bat, you have 4 less classes that you have to do than everybody else. That's traditional student. So you're only going to have 2 electives, MBA electives to do, and then the 4 courses that you see here. We do have some waivers in order to even waive you out of even more. So minimum, you could take 8 classes to finish the MBA. Maximum, maybe 10, okay? Here is the waiver policy for economics. So if you've taken 2 economics courses from this list, you're going to be waived out of the ECN 590 Principles of Economics. So that's on the sheets that you have there too, the ECN 590. So if you take 2 now, when you still have time, then you can waive the ECN 590, 1 less class to take. The second course option is you could waive out of statistics, which is MBA 500 on the grad level. If you're taking 2 out of these courses from this list, then you're going to be able to waive MBA 500. Again, if you waive both econ and stats, now you're only down to 8 courses that you have to do with the MBA. Okay, so that's definitely doable. I know you're already busy with your PharmD schedule, but with 70 plus alum, absolutely, it can fit into that schedule. This might be a little hard to read, but it's also in your sheets as far as these are all the different options, okay? Most people are going to apply for the PharmD MBA the summer after their P2 year. So technically you can't start until then, but that's what the majority of students will do so that they can start taking MBA classes, lightening the load during your fall and spring, during your regular year. And as Claire mentioned, she finished all her MBA classes before she did her rotations that final year. So we'll ask them a little bit more how they were able to schedule it all. So there's all different options. I would meet personally with each one of you to really go over what works for you. And every semester we'll take a look at the schedule, get you registered for the MBA classes, and figure out your plan of study. So I think I'm going to start asking the questions over here. Maybe TJ, since you're the first one, how did you balance everything? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So essentially, I had to have a refresher that I started after my P2 year, but I did it the way that, I don't know if it's on this sheet, but I took a class every semester, and then I took two classes over the summer. I remember that I had to, after I graduated last year, I had to take 1 last class to finish up the whole program. So at the end of the day, it's however you want to, how much workload you want to put on yourself. If you have other things to do, time management, I'm not the best at time management sometimes. So spreading it out the way I did worked for me.
What's nice about the program is the flexibility it has. So this summer, I ended up taking 4 classes. What was nice about that was I wavered out the econ and the stats class. So I'm down to 4 classes down. And then during the semesters, I try to take between 1 and 2, just so it's not too much on our pharmacy load. So I'm taking 2 right now, and then I'll have 1 in the spring, and then I'm projected to finish the first summer block right before going on my APPEs. So it's nice that this program has the flexibility to allow you to pick and choose when you want to take the classes.
Yeah, like Emma said, that's how I did mine. So I had the first block with APPEs off, and that's when I finished all of my classes. But there's definitely some semesters where some classes aren't available. You have to take them in the summer instead. But Lisa's also very helpful with making sure that you get everything done. Like when you need to do it, you need to take some before you can take others. So she's a really great resource for that as well. But you can definitely fit it in however you want to do it. And if you have a lighter semester, like in the spring my P3 year, so last spring I took 3 of the classes, but in the fall I only took 1. So it's just whatever you think you can balance.
Yeah, and Julia, do you want to talk a little bit about how you completed the program?
Yeah, so I think pretty similar to what everyone had described. I think over the summer I ended up taking 4 classes. In the fall I took one, and I actually took a J-term class as well. There was a law class that was available during that time, so I was able to finish up before Appy started, which I think was super helpful to be able to focus in on those. And also just wanted to touch on the fact that I think with the MBA curriculum, it's a lot different than your pharmacy curriculum. So in terms of just like time management and being able to do both of them at once, I think just the content is so different, but also you can kind of tie some concepts in together that it almost like it doesn't feel super overwhelming because it's such a switch up between, I guess, like the content that you're dealing with each class.
Excellent, thank you. What I also do want to mention, like during the summer, we work on 2 5-week terms. You know, summer 1 goes May to June, summer 2 goes June to July. If you're not from Rhode Island, that's okay. What ends up happening is that there are some classes online, you know, asynchronous or online at night. We also have the ability to transfer courses from another MBA program. So for instance, if there's an issue with the final summer and you know you take a rotation in California, we've had people take classes online through another institution and transfer them back into our MBA program. So again, you know, it's very flexible. We'll work with you in order to be able to graduate when you want to graduate. There's even been times where someone couldn't finish the MBA before they finished their PharmD, and that's okay. You don't have to finish both at the same time. So if you finish your PharmD and you still have one MBA course to take, that's okay. You know, maybe you graduate in December instead or the summer with the MBA. And again, if you're not from here, maybe we transfer it from another institution. So there is a lot of flexibility built in depending where you are. So some of the other details I already mentioned, obviously flexible. This program does start fall, spring, or summer. Again, the best option is starting the summer right after your P2 year so that you don't have to take 3 MBA classes in the fall. So that's what the majority of people are going to be doing. I already mentioned that most classes are taking place in Providence. We are actually in our program now at the Rhode Island Nursing Education Center on Eddy Street in Providence. But there's also some online classes as well. So you and I, we would look at the schedule coming up and pick what makes the most sense for you. Okay, people are from all different backgrounds. So that's one of the unique things about the MBA. Students within the MBA are coming from engineering backgrounds. They're coming from history backgrounds, business backgrounds, every single industry you can imagine. So the networking and the discussions that go on in class is one of the benefits of the MBA. You know, you're really feeding off of the knowledge of these people. Most of them have 10 plus years work experience sometimes coming into the MBA. So you're really learning a lot from them as well. We already asked the panel as far as the courses and the balancing of it. I guess the next question will be, what was it like being with students from non-pharmacy backgrounds? I'd love to get your opinions on that.
I think it was refreshing because you didn't have to talk about, you know, drugs and disease states all the time. And, you know, people in different majors think differently, you know, people in different industries think differently. And when you come together and you're able to have a productive conversation around something, it's worthwhile for everyone. So that's what I enjoyed.
I agree. I feel like a lot of the classes I had, like a lot of the students come from different backgrounds. A lot of them have families, work in engineering, any type of job you would think of. And I feel like you learn a lot from them. The different backgrounds they come from, I feel it allows you to gain a better understanding of the subject matter itself too.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. And everyone, it seems, has like different jobs that they'll work during the day and then do the program at night. So just hearing about like the things that they do also makes the topics like more applicable, and you really do learn a lot from all these people.
And Julie, I don't know if you have anything else to add, especially, you know, working full-time now, kind of looking back to say, you know, what did you learn from your fellow classmates that you're putting into practice?
Yeah, so I think I agree with what everyone said, not too much to add there, but to touch on the piece that you just described, I think going from a residency program into a full-time position, especially with a lot of individuals that have very different backgrounds, like all pharmacists, but coming from, CVS retail, maybe CVS specialty or managed care. I think one thing that I got from all the experiences that were pulled from the different members of the class is you're actually able to adapt easier when you're in a full-time position, because you can almost apply the experiences that other people have had to your own, self. And that just makes it a little bit easier to, acclimate to a new environment and to be successful in more of a working type role.
Excellent, thank you. So the other program we just want to mention is the one-year program. So even though not too many people want to add a 7th year to your URI career, it is an option. So if it seems just too much to handle to do both programs at the same time, you can always do the one-year MBA. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit different than the evening program. It is cohort-based. Students travel together as a team. It only begins in the fall semester, so that's somewhat different than the evening program. And it's also during the day here in Kingston. So that's the other big difference between the two programs. But you'll see that the curriculum is very similar, okay? The economics and statistics are still waivable, depending on if you took similar coursework. The classes that you see in the fall are 5 core MBA classes that you also take in the evening program. A big difference here in the one-year program is we do have a consulting project that we don't have for the evening students because most of them are already working full-time. So in this consulting project with the one-year program, you'll be working in teams with your other cohort students with a company. They have a live business problem. They want you to go in, act as a student group, do surveys, research, and report out at the very end of the semester with a major presentation. Another big difference is URI unfortunately doesn't let us double count. So when you are in 2 programs at once, URI allows you to double count credits. So we're able to count your pharmacy classes as 12 credits in the electives. In the one-year program, unfortunately, they don't let us do that because you've already graduated with your PharmD. So you're starting fresh. And so you would have electives to do, more electives to do in this evening program, in the one-year program than you would in the evening program. I think those are some of the reasons why the majority of people will go into the evening program versus the one-year. Okay. Mentioned cohort, 1 year, consulting project, again, not able to double count. So those are really the big differences between the two. Now let's talk about tuition. When you are looking at the one-year program, obviously it is in-state versus out-of-state, just like you're used to. Okay, so nice part about 1 year is you're only paying 1 year of tuition. Now with the evening program, what will happen is if you don't go over your 19 credits, you are not charged extra. Okay, so if you register for 16 credits of your pharmacy and then have one MBA class that brings you to 19 credits, that MBA class is virtually free. Okay, you're not paying extra. Of course, if you take summer classes, J-term classes, those are extra because they're not part of your PharmD program. The nice part is if you've ever taken summer, it's less expensive. So you can see it on the screen here, in-state versus out-of-state, fall, spring, as well as summer. So that's another reason why a lot of students will end up taking summer classes versus trying to overload too much during the fall and spring. Okay. When we talk about admissions, it's an online application process. As I mentioned, you technically can't start applying until the summer after your P2 year. But you can actually start the application itself during the spring semester. Okay, that's when you're going to want to submit it because the application deadline will be March 31st to start for summer. We have an online application portal called Business Cast. Just like any common app, you create a username and password, kind of go through the process. Okay, it's going to ask you for a personal statement or essay. There'll be an application fee. You'll upload copies of your transcript Because you're here at URI, we don't need the official. So we just need the copy. You will ask 2 people to write letters of recommendation, and that can be anyone. So that could be both professors, that can be a manager if you're working, plus a professor, or 2 managers, whoever you feel comfortable going to. We ask you to upload your resume. Work experience is not required, but we do want to see how have you been involved while you've been here at URI. Most of you do have summer jobs and semester jobs, so you're going to put those on there as well. On here, we have GMAT or GRE. Most of you may have heard of the GRE. Most of you probably have not heard of the GMAT. The GMAT is the standardized test for most business schools. The GRE is another standardized test, okay? We accept either one, but we also waive it on certain scenarios. So if you have a GPA at the time you apply of 3.30 and above, you are not required to take the GMAT or GRE. Okay, so that is the majority of you. Most people that apply to this program are, top-notch students who are not going to need to take the GMAT or GRE. Okay, but if your GPA is below a 3.3, it doesn't mean that you're going to be denied. What it means is you just have an extra step. And those tests are taken on a testing site, gre.org to find information about the GRE, and MBA.com to find information about the GMAT. Okay, you can take those at any time prior to applying. The scores are good for 5 years. Okay, so if you're jumping ahead and know that you're going to have to take it, feel free to take it at any time. There are 3 times a year that you can apply technically. Again, summer is the optimal. But if you can't apply till fall, that's okay. Deadlines are up there. Spring as well, our application deadlines. So I think at this time, what I'd like to do is maybe kind of a wrap up, and then we'll go into questions. Julia, I'm going to start with you. I think looking back when you went through the program, is there any words of advice that you would give people that are considering this program?
Yeah, I think, I guess my biggest pieces of advice, I know with my specific field that I ended up in, I think, it's not absolutely necessary, but I think just the concepts that the program itself has kind of like instilled in me or allowed me to be exposed to early on have really helped me in being successful in my role. So I think anyone that asks me about it, I guess my biggest piece of advice is to do it. I think that you learn so much, not only just from a business standpoint in terms of mathematics and statistics and drawing like business conclusions, but I think you also learn a lot in terms of managerial skills. So you guys saw the list previously of where people kind of end up after they've completed the business program, and some of them are pharmacists, and then they just kind of go up in their career. So they assume some type of managerial role, and I think a lot of those concepts and the ability to be successful there comes from this program. So the advice is to do it.
Yeah, I'd probably just echo what Julia was saying, is just do it. I mean, you're already in class. Maybe you're stressed, maybe you're not stressed, but adding an extra class on top of it, in the long run, it will be beneficial for you. You'll get an extra credential next to your name, and it looks good, in any job that you go into, any career field that you go into. My one recommendation would be, if you are going to do it, make sure you focus on technical skills when it comes to like Excel and other things like that, because that's the only way business works at the end of the day. When I started out in my position, it was a real big learning curve because I didn't refine my technical skills. So if you are going to pursue this program, make sure you focus on that.
And TJ, before you hand the microphone, a question for you. Did the MBA come up at all when you were doing your interviews?
During my specific interviews for my job.
For jobs, yeah.
It did come up in conversation. It was more of people are kind of amazed that you're able to handle that much workload. Like if you do the program, people look on your resume and say, oh, wow, this individual went to school for 6 years, and while he was in school, they also got an additional advanced degree. So that's 2 advanced degrees. That shows how capable you are as a person, and how you're a high caliber individual, and that you're more likely to get a position, and it opens a lot of avenues.
I would say the exact same thing. Definitely do it if you're interested. It's a really great opportunity. I would also recommend, if you are doing it, just to maybe like take the economics course if you're below P1, or I even took mine by P1 year, or your statistics course, just to lighten your load while you're in the program. The program is definitely manageable and I recommend it.
Yeah, I would agree with everything everybody said. You can definitely do it. Even if you think it'll be too much, you can. And something we've kind of touched on a little bit is that the classes are very different than pharmacy classes. Like, you're not just sitting in here and getting lectured at, and then you have to like regurgitate it all in a test. It's more like, this is a scenario and like, what are you going to do? So it also helps you think a little bit differently, which I think is very helpful in kind of refining that for the future.
Excellent, thank you. So we're going to open up for questions. I know there was actually a question texted asking about, do we offer regional tuition? Unfortunately, with the MBA, it doesn't count for regional status. The main reason is, URI is in-state, out-of-state, sometimes regional. But to be qualified for regional, your home state cannot offer the program that you're applying for. Everybody has an MBA program through their home state, so through the university. So unfortunately, the MBA does not qualify for regional status. Okay, let's see, who has questions for myself or any of the panelists? Feel free to raise your hand. And
well, I don't know if it's for the panelists, but for the 3.3 GPA, are you including the undergrad GPA too, or is it just like your professional year GPA?
so when we're looking at the 3.3 GPA as the cutoff as far as taking the GMAT or GRE, it's your overall GPA. So at the time you apply, which is second semester of your P2 year, we're going to be looking at your fall grades as well. So we're going to be looking at the overall GPA starting your second semester of P2. Other questions? Yes.
You apply before that March 31st deadline, what is like the turnaround on your background? Either you accepted or denied before starting?
Great questions. The question was, if you apply before March 31st, what happens? How long do you hear? It is rolling admission, meaning that once you're done with your application, we are going to start the review process. So if you're done in January, and I ask actually that you wait until January because we do want to see your fall grades when you upload your transcript. But you can start the application, but just don't hit that submit button and upload your transcript until January. Okay. Once you submit it, we're going to start the review process right away. We don't wait until March 31st to look at everybody's. It is a very quick turnaround time. You'll usually hear within 3 weeks. Other questions?
If you have the two-way courses, like straight on stats classes, do you think it's possible to do this without taking classes?
So the question was, if you weigh the econ and stats, do you think you could do this program without doing summer? It would be difficult. And mainly the reason why is if you don't do summer, then you're going to have to overload during fall and spring. And you're already busy with your pharmacy classes during fall and spring. You don't usually have enough time to take more than 2 MBA classes in any one semester. So most likely you will still have to take summer classes. Yeah.
So in this schedule,
No, so what will happen is the question was the summer after P2, what do you usually take? So on the list, there are some suggestions, but these are suggestions. We're going to take a look at that summer schedule, see what would make sense for you, as well as prerequisites. Sometimes, for instance, before you take finance, you have to take accounting. So in that summer, there are a group of classes that I'm going to suggest that you take that first summer before the fall starts. That opens up the flexibility of what you can take going forward.
What's the maximum amount of classes you can take over the summer?
So the maximum amount of classes that you can take over the summer, according to URI, is 4. Usually you don't want to do more than 4 just because it's so busy. I mean, there is a way that you can request overload credit in the summer in any semester, but usually I think 4 is the maximum you want to take. And Emma, we can talk about that a little bit. Having taken 4 classes, could you add a 5th?
It was difficult. It's definitely a lot of work. I was working 2 jobs over the summer too, and I had my institutional IB, so it was a lot, but it was manageable. I had a mix of online asynchronous classes versus I had a class on the Kingston campus. I had a class at the Providence campus. But kind of going off of Nisha's question, you can actually do a summer internship and get credit for that internship. So you can earn up to 6 credits, which is a really nice advantage of the MBA program. So you can still get credit just from doing a pharmacy internship. So that can always be applied.
Other questions that people have? All right, any questions from them?
No more text questions.
Okay. Well, I really want to thank you all for attending. I really want to thank our panelists for coming and giving their feedback. If you have any questions whatsoever, my information is on here. Please feel free at any time to email me questions. If you want to meet one-on-one, to talk about prereqs and waiving and things like that, just please let me know. And again, I want to thank you all for coming.